This episode of the Violent Professional Podcast has been brought to you by Strikeforce Energy. Strikeforce Energy is a fucking fantastic fucking drink. You know, you get that shit and you fucking wake up in the morning. You know, it came in on the fucking Pony Express. You know, Paul Revere himself, if he was alive, he would have brought that shit right into your fucking suck hole. He'd take the fucking pump bottle, insert it into your face, and smash the top so you get that fucking natural flavor enhancer in your body. Now, I don't know if it's natural, but it sure as hell tastes like it fucking belongs in my body. And it should belong in your body too. So go ahead, go to StrikeForceEnergy.com and use code EvilVibes at checkout and you get 20% off all of the shit that they have on their store. That includes fucking water bottles to put Strikeforce Energy in. It involves hats, cats. I don't know if they sell cats, but they probably should, you know. Get fucking as hyped as you can on fucking Strikeforce Energy like a cat on catnip, speaking of which. And with, you know, the hustle and bustle of busy life, why would you waste time going to the fucking gas station or the grocery store to get you a fucking energy drink when you could just have that shit on your counter ready to go? You get the pump bottle, you get the fucking packets, you squirt that shit in water, boom, you're fucking done and off to the races. Anyway, go to StrikeForceEnergy.com, use code EvilVibes for 20% off your entire order of Strikeforce Energy.
This is the Violent Professional Podcast brought to you by AriesClothing.com.
Well, hello again. Thank you for tuning in to the Violent Professional Podcast brought to you by AriesClothing.com. I truly appreciate you guys checking it out yet again. And here we are. You made the long journey. You made that long-ass journey to be here. You know, I like to say it's been a long-ass day. You know, I got that meme with the fucking, you know, the picture of the long butt. Get that picture of the long butt in the jeans, and then you say it's been a long-ass day. You know, you remember those fucking, those 80s ladies with the long butts in their fucking, you know, aerobics outfits? They got long asses back in the 80s. What was happening back then? You know, the Cold War and shit happened around that time. Sometime in the fucking past. Maybe the radioactivity from the fucking, all the nuclear warheads pointing at each other caused these women to have long butts and long bushes. You know, no one knows what was happening back in the fucking 80s. Do know that it was super weird, those long butts and long bushes? Anyway, yeah, it's a solo episode of the Violent Professional Podcast. You guys seem to like it. I'm going to do them as much as I want, to be honest. And if no one fucking listens, I don't give a shit. Because right now, this is a one-way transaction. I just say stuff into a fucking camera and a fucking microphone, and I feel good. I get that fucking shit off my chest. My chesticles be popping, yo. And I get to fucking just talk into the airwaves. You know, if I've had a long, hard day. Like a long-ass day or a long, hard day, I like to get into the beat laboratory and make some fucking sweet, sweet goddamn music with my fucking mouth. So yeah, I got some things to talk about. This is a filler episode, essentially. We got one more movie to review. But as I've said on the fucking other episodes, like bad movie reviews are hard to stay focused on. Because they're fucking bad movies. Like, I like to watch movies at my own pace. I do not like to be forced to watch movies. Even though it's us forcing ourselves. We came up with this idea for bad movie reviews when we saw Mandy. And last time we did the bad movie reviews. And, you know, so we kept it as a trend. We're just going to do it each year in October. And ask you guys what movies we should watch. And the suggestions were horrible. I'm just going to be honest. Like, you're like, well, it's supposed to be bad movies. I understand that. But it's hard to watch fucking bad movies, you know? So maybe we got to put stipulations next year or something. Because, you know, while I enjoyed Tusk, really, it was a good movie. Kevin Smith, you can't mess with that dude. He's a great director. But while I enjoyed Tusk, Rubber was, essentially that was good too. But, we got other shit movies coming up, and I've seen the one movie. I've seen Leprechaun in the Hood before, and I already know what happens. There's only one exciting moment of it, so it's going to be hard to fucking sit there and just watch it again. So we're taking a little break from recording. Life's recording about bad movies, and maybe we'll hit the third one. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the 2 movie reviews. If you got any suggestions for good movies that we could watch, good bad movies, if that makes sense, fucking hit a comment in the fucking thing you're listening to or the fucking video you're watching, okay? Just do that. Help us out. Be like, this is a fucking awesomely bad movie, and you should watch it. And I'll enjoy it, And then I'll talk shit about it if I don't. That's just how it goes. Lately I've been doing some work in the podcast studio. Been soundproofing the fucking place as much as I can. Trying to make it a better audio experience for you guys, audio visual, on the video you got to look at me, but I'm trying to make it visually appealing in other aspects, like, making the studio look nice, getting the sound popping on a handstand. And so hopefully you're enjoying this podcast. Seriously. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know in the comments what we can do to improve this podcast or what you think we should talk about. I always put it up to the patrons over at patreon.com/violentprofessional where they think we should go with the podcast. And usually they're like, you just keep going. But if you guys have suggestions, put it in the comments. Feel free to fucking inject some ideas into my brain so I can spill those brain ropes on your face. So let's just get into it, the shit I want to talk about. There's been some weird things that have happened in the past few days, the past few weeks. Coronavirus is fucking still out there, still fucking sitting there in wait, like a fucking jaguar or a fucking death cheetah getting ready to fucking pounce all over the place. I don't know for me personally if it's affecting me because I've been, since the coronavirus started, I've been I really haven't been in quarantine except for the first few weeks is what we all use in quarantine. That's what we all used to say to like justify why we're fucking staying away from each other. We're in quarantine. Like, what are we all fucking sick? No, there's like fucking, but, I've been away from people. And then, I've talked about it. I don't really like people, to be honest. Like, I don't really like hanging around people. So I use it as an excuse to be like, yeah, that's why I'm not fucking going out in public. But in reality, I just don't want to see people because people have bullshit. They've got baggage. They've got fucking dumb mannerisms. Like, you got to check out some of these people's mannerisms that have been secluding themselves. Like, people are fucking dumb. And they have dumb mannerisms. Like, it's just like, I can't describe exactly what those dumb mannerisms are, but I see him and I'm like, God damn, you got dumb mannerisms. I just don't like the way people carry themselves. I think this mask shit has exacerbated the amount of beta male fucking weakness out there. Like, no one looks at each other anymore, even with the masks. Like, no one will fucking look at each other. They're just like, oh, God, if I look, I'm going to catch it through my fucking eyeballs. It's silly what the fucking, just this mask thing alone, how it has drastically affected people's psychology. You know what I mean? It's like the mannerisms are dumb, like I said, but then you add that shit in where it's like this fucking... this like force field that's like you can't even acknowledge that people have it on. You know what I mean? Like, I roll around with with the Violent Professional podcast face mask, which you can get over at violentprofessional.com, and it's called the Masks Are Dumb mask. And since I'm wearing it out there because some of the places here won't let you the fuck in, they fucking I like to go get some fucking Colorado Kool-Aid and they won't let me in, so I gotta put on a fucking mask as much as I don't want to wear it. But I like to look stylish, and if I could look stylish, I will choose my own shit first off, But secondly, I will choose the one that says Violent Professional Podcast. You know, it's got the death cheat on it. It's fucking fancy. It's the fucking logo of this podcast. So, you know, rep your set, motherfucker. You know, I rep my set every day. And, you know, I wear that. But there's a lot of people that wear the fucking, like, the medical masks that are, like, all open and shit around their fucking cheeks. It's like, that is dumb. You are the laziest piece of shit. If you gotta wear a fucking mask, if you're getting unconstitutionally violated, if that makes sense, on a daily with this fucking mask mandate bullshit, you might as well look stylish as fuck, dog. But no, you're just looking like a dumb cotton-headed ninny mug that's walking around with some blue fucking mask. You know, you got off a fucking, the dollar store or some shit. You went to the Dollar Tree and picked up a fucking 12-pack. You know? You ain't got 12 faces. What are you doing with that fucking mask? Go to the Violent Professional Podcast store at violentprofessional.com and use no codes because you don't get shit. You just fucking buy stuff from the podcast store to support it, you know? And pick up a face mask. Pick up the masks or dumb masks. Get that shit on your face so when you cough, you know, you don't hock loogies all over the place and people freak out and shit because, you know, the only sickness that exists these days is corona, you know? I'm pretty sure it fucking, like, everything else is now, we're now immune to everything else, right? Like, you can't get anything but corona, you know? At least that's what I tell people. But anyway, I was going somewhere with that, but this is the point here. So I'm secluded a lot, right? Like I am doing my business stuff. I go through the day and I see my son, but I'm by myself a lot. And I'm not just talking about like a little bit. I mean, a fucking lot. And that includes like right now, I'll see Mark, David, some of my friends from time to time, and my son, but like I'm secluded a fucking lot. You know, I think it helps with creativity, being like, you know, having the shadows whisper to me and shit and tell me to do stuff. The Dark Lord from the shadows, you know, gives me ideas, but there's some aspects to being alone and the psychosis that comes with it, right? You're thinking, like, I know some of you are thinking, like, oh, he's by himself a little bit, but he's just overexcited. No, I'm fucking, like, there'll be days where I don't see a fucking single person. Like, I don't go out because I usually, whenever I go out grocery shopping or whatever, I get enough for the fucking week. So there have been times where I don't see fucking anybody for fucking, like, 5 days. It's weird to think, but that's how it goes in my life. And so, like, this coronavirus shit has exacerbated my loner type of fucking mentality. And so like anyway, like there's times when I go out and, you know, you ever been by yourself for like a couple days locked in your house or whatever, and then you go out and you feel like things aren't right. Like you're walking into an alien environment and you're like, oh, you're trying to fucking act like a human. And it's just like you're all awkward and shit. Well, that's like most of my life these days. I'm using coronavirus as a fucking excuse to not go out, but it like dramatically affects the way I interact with the fucking third dimension we're in right now. So, you know, I went to the grocery store, you know, and I was getting some fucking, it was like late. So like I had been inside all fucking day. I hadn't seen the fucking light of day because usually like curtains are drawn. It's like a fucking vampire's house. And I'm just working and I'm doing fucking stuff. And then I hit up the podcast studio and then I hit up the fucking shop and I'm just like working and doing my thing, getting stuff out and like just going through the fucking daily motions of what I got to do to keep my fucking businesses alive and shit. Like go on social media, talk to people, fucking work on stuff, come up with ideas, all this shit. And so like there's times where I don't see the light of day for days. And so then I venture out into the world and I have to interact with people at like late as fuck, like 10. think how that goes. And so I'm like going to the store, putting my mask on, and I'm just like, let me get the fucking coconut water and a fucking beer, and I'm just like awkwardly shambling along the fucking aisles with that stupid elevator music. In the fucking grocery store. Just fucking making my fucking psychosis even more deep into the pits. And it's just like, the boots, oh, I'm marching, the boots. And I'm just like, and I'm just fucking going through. And so I go get my fucking, my logistics and my supplies and my fucking, stuff to keep me fucking sane. And I pay for it and walk outside, and I'm walking to the car, and literally this is a fucking thought that comes through my head. I look over at this woman that was walking. It's not like I was checking her out, but I'm just like, I'm observing my fucking environment. So I look over and I see this person walking, much like many of you do. You notice there's people around you, I assume, as you're walking. And I'm walking to my car with the fucking bags in my fucking hand. I look over, and literally it came to my brain, and it wasn't like an odd thought. I'm just like, I'm curiously looking at this person. And I literally said to myself, and not like in my head, but said to myself, where the fuck is her tail? Let me say that again, because maybe you missed it. Maybe I didn't say it clearly enough. I asked where the lady's tail was. I have been, at that point in my life, I had been by myself for a few days, and I walked out for the first time in a few days into fucking 10 p.m. darkness in pre-fall. Like, it's fall right now, right? It's cold and shit in the Pacific Northwest, and I asked where the fucking woman's tail was. Like, I was legitimately confused, and I'm not fucking with you at all. I was perplexed at why this fucking human person didn't have a tail as she's walking to her car. And it took me literally 10 seconds. 10 fucking seconds to go, people don't have fucking tails. We're not monkeys. So I think I'm going legitimately crazy with this shit. Like, what the fuck? This happened like fucking last week or some shit. I haven't talked about it because it's super weird. Like, I legit thought that fucking, like, people are supposed to have tails. It took me until I looked at a few people to be like, oh, we're all human. There's no reason why we have fucking tails. You fucking idiot. Maybe I got a fucking mark on my head now from fucking slapping myself for being an idiot. But it's crazy. There's stuff like that in my life that have happened where I say some shit and I'm like, that's a dumb fucking thought. Like, I thought, where's the woman's tail? Where is it? Why doesn't she I wonder what happened. Did she get it caught in a fucking door? Yeah, that's what happens. It's hard to get out of fucking vehicular transportation when you slam the door. You ever slam your fucking fingers in the door by accident in a car? Yeah, that's probably how she ripped it off. Fucking idiot. Oh, fucking dummy. Whoa! So anyway, I gotta look up what that fucking... Sometimes I look up on fucking the Google box and I'm like, what is that fucking disorder? I think I did that on one... I think it was on Sociopathically Speaking was the episode title or something like that, where I discussed like psychological issues that people have. And like, so sometimes when there's something that comes up like that, like where like, and what would I ask Google? I'd be like, what's the disorder where you think people are animals? Oh, it's like, you ever see that movie Island of Dr. Moreau? Like, there was the old one, and then there was the one with Val Kilmer, who was Dr. Moreau, and he turned a bunch of fucking people into monkey people and fucking ape people and like cat people and shit. And it's like I for a second in my dumb brain thought we were in the island of Dr. Moreau. Yep, she better dig that chip out, otherwise Dr. Moreau's gonna control her. Fucking idiot. Ping Pong Tactical is a tactical hard use gear company out of the Pacific Northwest. They have a plethora of holsters and accessories as unique as you are, built to your exact specifications. You want a holster with a dragon on it? Maybe you want a holster with 2 dragons intertwined looking back at you. Well, if you want that, they got you, son. You want a place to put your screaming keys so they're easier to locate when they scream at you? They got you as well. You got a weed rolling tray, man? No? Well, it'd be a lot cooler if you did, man. Just ask Logan over at Ping Pong Tactical, and he will hook you up with any codex your little black heart desires. So go check them out at pingpongtactical.com and use code VIOPRO at checkout for 10% off your entire order, man. So I look up these disorders from time to time, and I think I had one like I was on the podcast describing some shit about a certain disorder of people on social media, as I like to talk about how people are crazy on social media. And I was like, oh fuck, I got one of those. Like, I was so anyway, it fucking, some of the things that people do, I'm very drawn to the psychology of people. And I think it's because I don't want, like, schizophrenia is one of those things that just, like, perplexes me. And I always question, do I have that? Because it's like, you know, you look at the movies at, like, Fight Club or Shutter Island or fucking any of these things where these people think they're interacting with people on a certain level, and they don't know they're fucking crazy. And or like one with Russell Crowe where he thought he was part of the CIA or some shit, and then he was just fucking nuts, and you don't find out because of the fucking twist at the end. But I always wonder, is like, am I in one of those fucking things? Because sometimes I'm like, there's no way that's a fucking interaction I've had, and I just question things. So I'm very interested and drawn to psychology. You know, I should have, like, if I ever go back to college, because I've been to college for a little bit, but if I ever go back and take any classes, further my education, I'm like, I probably should throw in a psychology class. But, like, how do I know the teacher's real? How do I know that I'm actually in the class? How do I know I'm not fucking in a box somewhere? You know, everything could be wrong. Everything could be upside down right now. Who the fuck knows? I'm asking if women have tails. You know, there's something from my DNA. You know, I talked about being an alien, and maybe that is part of it. Maybe I am from a fucking long line of aliens. I have alien DNA, and our people had fucking tails, and they fall off like goddamn lizards when they get caught. And so that's why I was asking, why does that woman have a tail? Anyway, so yeah, I thought about this because, like, of psychology. I was going off on a tangent, an animal tangent, and I thought, like, you know, there's the movies Purge, and there's other kinds of things, and you watch these violent fucking movies, and you might cringe at some of the scenes, but generally you could watch, like, if you're watching a straight up, like, slaughter of a bunch of people, you'd fucking run away. But, like, movies and video games, totally acceptable, because you're detached from it mentally, you know. For most people, that shit doesn't affect them. You know, you watch it and it's entertaining, or you play the game, it's entertaining. Like, you're not legitimately going to go, like, GTA and go fucking grab a hooker somewhere, fuck her, and then throw her out of a car. Are you? You're not going to do that, are you? But, like, video games and shit like that are just, you know, it's a clear, like, if you can play those things and not be affected by it, you're clearly, and I'll choose my words here, you're clearly a sociopath. Now let me explain. You know, I used to play Red Dead Redemption 2, and it was, you know, it's fun because you're a cowboy, a cowpoke. You know, you're roaming the dusty plains, but then you know, there's a storyline, and you fucking go in the Old West and have to hunt and do whatever. There's plenty of things that you could do are very honorable in that game, and you could do all the missions and help people out and fucking, you know, sit at your fucking tent, you know, shave your beard, style your hair with fucking pomade that they used to in the fucking Old West. You know, you could go to the old saloon and fucking, you know, talk to the fucking locals. You know, drive some cattle for some fucking folks. But there was a point in the game where I couldn't progress, and it's partly because I would drive my pony into fucking center of town and sit there on the edge without any fucking emotion attached. I would wait till there was a bunch of people in the fucking center of the fucking town, you know? You know, it was the old West town with the fucking, you know, the pane glass windows up and down with the big, like, the signs on the front is all wood and shit. And it was like, you know, where you've seen the Western movies, like Young Guns and shit, where they get shot off of the fucking roof and shit. It looked like an old West town, you know. And I go in there, I drive my pony on a cattle, yeah. And I fucking sit there and wait. Then I hop on my fucking horse and I lasso somebody and just drag them until they're fucking dead. You know, that's the funnest part of the game, is surprising people, dragging them, and they get into a gunfight and do that over and over again. I found that the funnest fucking part of that shit was just murdering people and fucking lassoing fucking prostitutes and fucking dragging them through the mud and shit. And so that tells me, it's like, if that's my fucking intention, I understand it's a game. You know, a lot of people are emotionally detached from it, but there's some real psychology behind that if you're okay with it. If you don't shed a tear upon dragging that prosta horror on the fucking, you know, on the cobblestone road and the fucking muck and the mire. I like to, I don't know, because it's like a losing game when you play that. You get into a fight, the sheriff comes out, all his deputies, and then everybody comes out and they just fucking wax you. It's a losing game. But you got to keep yourself entertained in this fucking crazy world. So, you know, there's a lot of games that are just, you know, the identifiers of your fucking psychology. All this war games and shit. You know, all this military shit. All this violent, fucking aggressive shit. It's the funnest fucking part of life right now. You know, is getting down on the fucking video games. So, you know, with this whole fucking coronavirus bullshit, right? With this whole fucking coronavirus bullshit, you know, we're all locked inside. Kids aren't going to school. You know, and I'm putting my fucking my little squirt into fucking his online classes, because this I don't know if the whole United States is locked down as far as school. Is anybody going to school? I don't fucking know. But my son does online classes. He does online classes, and like the first few weeks of it, right? Like how long have kids been in school? When does fucking school start? August, September, October. Yeah, so the first few weeks I would sit there with him and I would get him going and, you know, answer questions, because this is a new fucking thing for everybody. It's fucking new for everybody. And so I would, you know, he was doing his fucking classes, and there's like a bunch of fucking math, and it seems like that's all it was. It was just math and whatever. And they started to change over time. And he's got reading and fucking, you know, some science shit and whatever, just standard fucking school stuff. And everybody's, from the teachers to the fucking school, everybody's trying to figure it out. Because, you know, lockdowns happen, you know, they push the field goal back, and they're like, you know, we're going staging 3.1, now you're in 2.5 in this fucking county. And then they push the field goal back, and they pull it back, and then they open up, and then they close, and it's it's been fucking up things in my life with my businesses and shit, distributors and fucking suppliers and stuff. But yeah, so I'm sitting there with him and, listening to what his teacher says and like trying to help him the best I can. And then when he's on breaks, then I'll, go to work and I'll fucking do stuff. And then when he starts school again, and I'll fucking sit there and help him out and I'll just observe. Well, I started doing that for the first few days, or the first week or two. And then it's more of like, okay, this is more solidified now. It's been like 3 or 4 weeks, whatever it is. And now I have the schedule and I can see all the stuff and be like, dude, go do this, or you have this assignment, blah, 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 helping him out and whatever. And then, and so then there was times where I'm like, okay, he's got it. He's solid. He's doing all his stuff. He's like up to date on his homework. He knows what he does. Some days he wakes up and just gets on the computer, goes to class at 8:30 every day. And like, I don't even have to tell him. He's already conditioned to do that stuff and just, do the right thing or whatever. I'm trying to raise the little man the best I can. Well, it's been a little bit since I actually sat and listened to what his teachers were saying or what they were showing. And I walked into where he was working on his schoolwork and he's watching a video of this. It's a science video. And I was like, I walked in and I was like, this fucking science dude, it's like a science video. And he's this weird, dorky scientist. It's just going, hey, science is fun. And like, take these Bunsen burners and fucking put the shit in. Like, I was like, and he's like going, hey, he's like a wild, wacky, inflatable arm flailing two-man, but oddly enough, he looks like he's taking meth. Like if a two-man could take meth, it's look like him. And he's like going like, ah! Like, and so he's shaking and he's doing this fucking voice like he's like Barney the dinosaur that was skinned and his fucking skin was hung up. And I'm not talking about like the costume. I'm talking about like if Barney the dinosaur existed and it was a real fucking thing. Like it was a biological animal that was teaching kids about love and kindness, and somebody ripped his fucking outer skin suit off and he's like, oh, let me tell you about fucking caring. And he's like, I love you. And like, he's weak because his fucking carapace was stripped of his body, and so like this fucking dude in a fucking, he was about as much of a scientist as fucking, what's that dumb fucking, what's his name? What the fuck is his, Neil guy, the science guy. Who the fuck is, I can't think of his name, but you probably know what I'm saying. Like, he's not really a scientist. He just plays one on TV. But this fucking douchebag was, too. He was just playing a fucking scientist on TV. He's just playing a fucking science guy on TV. And he's going, hey, science is fun. And he's like going, bleh. And I was like, I walked into the room and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like, what is he talking about? And then they got all these other little kid actors that are fucking backing this weird, creepy dude up about what he's about to teach people. And I thought maybe, like, it'd be weird if it's like, you fucking, all the parents, like, walk out of their fucking room because they're like, oh, he's been doing it for fucking few weeks. And that's when they slip in the fact they're teaching kids how to make meth in these fucking science videos. Like, we don't know what they're doing with them. You have to watch it all the time. The youth are the future of this nation, and now we're teaching them to be goddamn crack dealers because these fucking scientists are fucking teaching them how to fucking put Bunsen burners on fucking glassware. They got series of tubes, Bunsen burners, and fucking particulate everywhere. Point of this is you gotta fucking watch your kids. You can't let them go off by themselves into the wild. It gets weird. Give it to them like pay attention to them at least until they're fucking 14 or some shit. And then you're like, okay, now you're about to be 16 in a few years. Like, you go out, you're gonna be driving then, and then I can't watch you. So when they're 14, that's when you can. I guess I'm not a fucking, my son's not 14 yet, but I assume that's what, like, pretty good time thinking about back in my life, you know, like, did I really need people paying attention to me? Was I doing the same shit I was going to do? Or was I, you know, what was I doing at 14? Did I really need somebody watching me? Probably, but that's when you got to trust them a little bit. Trust them to do the right thing and instruct them and guide them to actually do the right thing and stop playing with their goddamn dicks all the time, you know? Don't look at me like I'm weird. You know that's how it goes when you're a teenager. It's all little boys want to do. They want to fucking just, you know, talk to girls and fucking play the banjo. Yeah. So, with the weirdness that's happening, I'm just going to fucking freestyle here because I ain't got anything written down for this part. But I watched that fucking, hold on. I look at social media and I see stuff on YouTube, and which is kind of a social media thing. But I look at stuff on social media, and a lot of the stuff lately is like who's voting for who, and these dumbass celebrities that don't have jobs right now talking about like, oh, let me take my clothes off and tell you to vote. Like, you got to register to vote. I've been fucking registered since I'm 18, right? I've been registered since I'm 18. Since I've been 18. And I voted in the 2016 election, and I voted in this election. And I understand that celebrities have a lot of influence out there. More so than all of you fucking influencers on social media. Yeah, I get that. Like, and I get they have their opinions about shit, much like any of us. If any of us had a platform the size of fucking like A-list actors, we would probably say the same shit. If we have a social media account that grows and you want to put some information out there, you probably would say the same thing. But and I'm not saying like you would tell people to vote, but you would just say shit to people to make them, you would say stuff to influence. And because you think the world should be a certain way. You know, some people, I don't give a fuck what people do. Like, I don't care who they vote for. It's everybody's right. You know, if you're an American citizen, it's everybody's right to vote for whoever the fuck you want. Like, I know people that fucking vote left or right, and I don't give a fuck who they vote for. It's their fucking right to vote for whoever the fuck they want to vote for. And I'm not going to look at somebody and go, fuck you piece of shit! You gotta vote! Like, I don't fucking care. You know, I'm talking about being a libertarian. That's part of it. Like, I don't fucking care what you do. Don't tell me. I don't care who you fucking voted for. We'll find out when the president's elected. But you've got, like, these celebrities that don't just come out and say, you gotta vote. There's fucking assholes that say, like, you gotta vote this way or you're gonna vote this way or whatever. You know, make your assumption about which way those celebrities fucking think you should vote. You probably understand by who they are. Whatever. But it made me think. I was like, there has got to be a bunch of people that do one thing, and I'm talking about actors that are professional pretend people. Like, they get paid to pretend they're somebody else. I'm about to sneeze. Hold on. I've never sneezed on the podcast before. Oh, God. Anyway, there's professional pretend people that pretend to be people for fucking money. It made me think. How many of these motherfuckers, and I'll just put it out there. Most of Hollywood is apparently left-leaning. Go figure. You know, because of the influence. You know, you could have a left-leaning or right-leaning candidate come out and say, like, I'm the best man for the job. And that's not going to be as influential as fucking Thanos saying, like, hey, you got to vote for this fucking person. That's not how he talks. You got to vote for this person, however the fuck he talks. That's not going to be as influential. Like, no one gives a fuck what the candidates are saying. They care about fucking taxes. Are you going to take more of my money? Am I okay with that? Like, you know. And really, there's a multitude of reasons people vote for fucking people. One of them's money. One of them's, I don't like this guy because he's an asshole. He's very aggressive and it hurts my heart. There's a multiple reason about people vote for it, but you have I don't know how many it is, but I wonder how many people vote based on what a fucking celebrity says, and then they believe them, so they follow them, and they just look at their shit all the time. They're like, oh my God, and they make fan pages of them. And then the person will say, you have to do this. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do it. And then the next day, they'll say, no, you got to do this. And be like, oh fuck yeah, he said that yesterday, but I'm going to do that today. Maybe he changes his opinion, and then so can I. But then, you're just following this motherfucker around. And you just fucking do what they're saying. But, so it made me think, how many of those motherfuckers are paid to fucking just say something, and then they vote the other way? There's got to be a bunch of, no one talks about it, but, no one says, hey, celebrities are paid to just say, vote for this person and influence the election in a fucking section of the world. Because if somebody has 2 million fans, they're famous, they're a celebrity, right? They can make a living doing that. But that is a fucking minuscule amount of people that follow them. And I'm talking about 1 million, 2 million people that are diehard. I love that fucking person. I want to be that person. I love all his movies, or her movies or whatever. And that is such a we got 360 some odd million people in the United States, and even if they've got 1 million followers all over the world, they're still a celebrity, right? The A-list potentially. That's a minuscule amount of fucking people. And so I wonder if there's and it's probably right. I'm saying I wonder, but I think this is how it goes, is these politicians that are trying to be presidents, they get all their donation money and they fucking go okay, we got this marketing budget and we got to fucking do something for marketing. Well, if I go to this fucking person, go say, and just a random person on the street, I go, here's fucking $500, go tell everybody about us and how they, should like my fucking podcast. That's marketing. And so it's no different if a politician goes to a fucking celebrity and just goes, hey, here's some money. Fucking tell everybody how great I am. These professional pretend people who love money and love pretending and they love the fucking attention and shit. Of course they're going to go on fucking... If a politician approached me and I'm a pretend person, I like to play fucking make-believe and shit, and they go, here's $1 million, go for, which is fucking a small percentage of what they have to spend, right? And they go, tell everybody that listens to the podcast that they got to vote for me. And I'm like, fuck yeah! And I go out and be like, hey, here are the Professional Podcast. I endorse fucking clown shoes. Go buy some clown shoes. It's fucking amazing. There's going to be some people who go, yeah, fucking clown shoes. I like regular shoes, but he said clown shoes. I like tripping over them and making people laugh at me. So that's what I'm going to go do now because he said that. I see it with my other shit. I'll just put something out and people will buy it. I'm like, that's dumb as fuck. People give me money for that. But I just wonder how many fucking dumbass celebrities are out there that are just getting money from politicians to fucking say, hey, go vote for me, and then they change, or they tell people all this shit, and then they fucking vote the other way, because they're actually, if one side's crazy, and one's not crazy or whatever, and then they just switch. Uncanna is a CBD company. They make all kinds of CBD products which help people get over shit like anxiety, aches and pains, and general bullshit of the world. Uncanna takes the edge off of life. Everybody's talking about CBD. There's a lot of great companies out there. But if I'm going to pick a company to put in my fucking body, I'm going to choose Uncanna. You go to uncanna.com, you use code VIOPRO, you get 25% off of all of the CBD products. At least go there and research. They got plenty of information, some fact sheets, the data on how pure and safe their product truly is. What do you have to lose, kids? Go check it out on Canada.com and make sure you use VioPro at checkout for 25% off your entire order of CBD. This headset's fucking bothering me. Ah! Speaking of which, if you're looking at the video, you can see how fucking crazy my fucking hair is. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. You know, I've been growing this fucking mop on top for 2 years. That's why I wear hats all the time, honestly. Like when I have a haircut, I don't wear hats. But it's been 2 years, over 2 years. I use coronavirus as a fucking excuse. I use it as an excuse. I'm just not going to cut my hair anymore. And now it's fucking too long. Like it's curling up and shit. It's annoying the fuck out of me. So I hate to break some of your hearts, but I got to fucking get this mop cut down. It's not becoming of me, you know? Like I always question myself, like, where am I going? Where am I going with this? Like, how long am I going to go? Am I going to keep going? You know, I naturally hate haircuts because I've never really had. I've had maybe a handful of good ones, and they're like, I'll go to the fucking barbershop and I'll say like, hey, I want this haircut. Like, don't shave my sideburns off. And it's like, like this is a weird thing. I have to tell the fucking barbers, don't shave my fucking sideburns off. I like them the way they are. I'll take care of them. And I'll go to these fucking haircut places and they take the razor. If you're watching the video, they put it, or you're not, I'm going to describe it. They take the fucking, the blade or the fucking buzzer, the haircut device thing that they hold and shave your head, and they go flat against the top of my fucking ears, like from the top of my ears, if you can imagine, and shave down. And it's happened fucking more times than I can count. And like I literally had to start telling people like, hey, don't cut off my fucking sideburns. And so I always like ask, is that like a thing people ask for on the regular where they're just like, hey, make me look as dumb as fuck? Like, I don't think that sideburns are fucking valuable. Cut that shit off so I look like fucking Beavis and Butthead. You know? Who's the one on Beavis and Butthead that had no sideburns? I think it was Beavis, the fucking brown-haired dude. But it's like that. I've had plenty of times where, like, I saw it coming too, and I'm like, this motherfucker is gonna try to cut my sideburns off. And so, like, I put my fucking hands up. This one haircut, I remember, I put my fucking hands up because I saw it coming, and the fucking lady put it sideways, and I fucking saw it, and she went right to there, and I put my hands up over. I was like, don't cut my fucking sideburns off. And she's like, oh, you want to keep side hair? I was like, yes, I want to keep side hair. Like, don't cut it off. Like, who fucking asked for that? Am I fucking 4 years old? Like, fucking don't cut my hair like an idiot. And so I did that, and I fucking held my fingers up by the front of my ears so that she couldn't physically cut my hair unless she fucking, like, she couldn't cut the sideburns off unless she physically pushed them down or ripped my hands away and then go, oh, fuck you, American pig! And then I fucking cut the sideburns off. So anyway, she was like, oh, you want sideburn? And I was like, yeah, I want fucking sideburn. And she's like, okay. And she finished off the rest of it. And then I took my hands down, and she fucking took the razor blade. I'm not even fucking kidding. She went to the other side of my hair. My hands, I was fucking totally unaware of this was a potential thing that was going to happen. And I put my hands down on my lap. She took that buzzer right to the other sideburn and shaved that shit off. And I was like, I looked at her. I was like, what the fuck did you just do? And everybody in the entire barbershop looked at me like I was an ass. Like I was the asshole in that situation. Like I was the fucking ass. Like I shaved her head. Like I grabbed it out of her fucking dumbass fucking hands and shaved something out of her head. I looked at her like corner of my eye and I fucking did this little twist. If you're on YouTube, you can see me. I did this thing. Like, let me turn around for you guys. I was like, I'm in the chair. And I'm getting my fucking haircut. And I do this thing. What the fuck did you just do? That's happened more times than I could count. Not where the fucking bitch out of spite she fucking cut the other sideburn off, and I was like, she's like, you want me to leave the other one? I was like, no, fucking cut it off, you dumbass. Like, I love looking, that's the new hairstyle. One sideburn, no sideburn. That's how I fucking like it. I like a 50-50 type of event. You fucking asshole. But that's happened so many times where not that exact thing, but where they cut my sideburns off. I'm like, who the fuck? What the fuck are we doing here? I get that low fade. I get an inch and a half when I get the shit cut down. I get an inch and a half, 2 inches, maybe 4 up top, And they always try to cut my fucking sideburns off. I have to tell them every fucking time. Every time. It's obnoxious, Imagine if someone is like, looked at you and you go like, oh, I know what you want. And they just do the opposite. Like, you fucking cunt. And it's funny. Like, I'll go in sometimes with facial hair or whatever. And it's like, you think that wouldn't be a fucking question if somebody's got facial hair going or stubble or whatever. It's like, let me cut off just a fucking portion of your face hair. I want to cut off a fucking 2-inch strip off your head hair, and then leave the rest. Like you're some asshole. Like you made that fucking conscious decision to look like a butthole. Walk through my day and expect people to assume I'm a boner. Anyway, yeah. The fucking adventure of... I kind of, went off on a tangent with that, with the fucking whole, political shit and the celebrity. I just stopped mid-sentence, and I was like, hey, what about haircuts? Oh, what about haircuts? Anyway, I have these episodes that are, no ads. Then I got ads, and... I got episodes for patrons. If you don't know what patrons are, they're a group of people that sponsor this podcast other than our advertisers, which are on our ad-full version as opposed to our ad-free version. And they believe in the podcast so much that they give us some money to run this shit. And it does stuff like buy the lighting, buys chairs, buys the microphones. Like this microphone right here is one of the top microphones you can buy for podcasting. It's a Shure SM7B or S7M, whatever, SM7B. It's a fucking, and I understand that this thing probably bothers people that it says Shure upside down there, but I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to keep it. But patrons are the driving factor behind the continued motivation in this podcast, as well as the financial support for this podcast. This is an experiment in itself, and I want to see how far I can take it. The podcast is its own arm of my business, my overarching business. So it's a marketing platform, right? And I get to talk, be silly, talk about getting my sideburns shaved off and some other dumb shit I think about, do stuff like movie reviews, just talk and get you guys engaged in what we're doing. It's a way I can provide information about the business or what I'm doing with it, what I think about stuff, because it's relatable. And some of you think the same as me. Or, plenty of times I got DMs and people are like, thank you for saying that. Like, I was waiting for somebody to say it. It's like, motherfucker, you say it. Why I gotta be the one to say it? Why I gotta bring the heat? But it's many things, this podcast. But one of the reasons it still exists is patrons over at patreon.com/violentprofessional. And I appreciate all of the patrons, and they do a lot for the podcast. They're the main driving factor for this whole fucking thing. They've bought, through their pledges each month, they've bought microphones, they've bought their funds that they pledged to the podcast, have purchased the microphones, the fucking headsets, the fucking soundboard, the fucking recording device, the battery pack that's sitting right there that you can't see, it's all skew, the microphone that's attached to the camera that kind of links up all the audio, high quality audio, and the camera audio. They have helped provide the sound panels that you see right here and here and here and here. There's one over the top of us that I feel like is going to fucking fall down one day and just skin my face right off. So that'll be an interesting podcast, because these fucking things are a little bit heavy. They're made out of wood, insulation, and fucking fabric, you know? But the wood is what's going to get me. It sits directly overhead where myself and a guest could sit. So it'll rip our faces off, so we look at each other and go, ah! And it will be a clean cut. But yeah, they've helped purchase the stuff to help this podcast grow. You know, and this guy, you know, so if you want to, let me go back. So with Patreon, I go on there and I talk to them and I say like, hey, what do you think we should do with the podcast? And here's some perks for being a fucking member. They get stickers, they get t-shirt deals, they get, depending on where they're at in the fucking tiers of their subscription, they get different perks. And so if that is something you're interested in, providing financial support to this podcast and helping us grow more, then feel free to check out Patreon. You can sign up for Patreon. You can sign up for as little as $1 and see what it's like. Give it a test run. If you don't think it's for you, then you just get the fuck off there. No harm, no foul. But you do get a little bit of say on what happens with this podcast. Like, if you are someone that goes, I don't think you should have done this podcast at all, you can tell me that, and then I'll be like, I'll never do it again. But then you provide me an input, and I'll do an episode on that. You know, that's how it goes. You know, you can let me know. You have direct input into how the podcast goes, because I want to provide a great service through this podcast. And if people believe in this podcast, myself, Mark, and everybody else has been on the podcast, if they believe in it to give us money to support the podcast, then I want you guys to be able to fucking tell me what I should do with it, because it's important. It's important to me that you guys are engaged in this podcast and you like this podcast and you want it to grow into something more than just what it is today, even though it's fucking awesome. Can't lie, it's fucking awesome. It's different than something else. And if you don't want to be a fucking patron, that's fine too. Just listen for free. And we'll keep putting out free content. We'll keep improving. And you can comment. You can comment on the video or the thing you're listening to, and let us know as well what you'd like to hear, and we'll take it into consideration. You know, so I want to say thank you guys. Thank you for still listening to this fucking podcast. I try to say it every weekend, but I forget sometimes. You know, life is busy, but I do want to say thank you for listening. It means a lot that there's people out here that actually like to hear me talk. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you hate it, and you're just like, oh, what's he going to say next? But, yes, thank you. So, again, Violent Professional on Patreon is patreon.com/violentprofessional. And also, I will ask in closing, even if you guys don't want to sign up for Patreon, you don't want to be a sponsor of the podcast, please go support the people who sponsor this podcast and provide financial support to this podcast, because by supporting them, you support us. And those companies are Strikeforce Energy, Ping Pong Tactical, and Uncana. Go check them out. And with that, I want to say thank you for checking out this episode. Thank you for listening for the whole thing. If you're here right now, you have listened to the whole fucking thing, or you fast forward, and I appreciate you. And we'll see you next time. How about that? We'll see you next time. I'll come up with something next time. Maybe we'll finish it out. Maybe we'll finish out the bad movie reviews, but let me tell you, it's fucking hard to watch bad movies. Even the good bad movies. So, have a good night, everybody, or day, or whatever.
If you like this episode, please consider subscribing to us on Patreon by visiting patreon.com/violentprofessional. By subscribing, you have access to all the episodes as soon as we upload, as well as bonus content that you can't see anywhere else. You can also support us by simply giving us a positive rating on your listening platform of choice. And above all, thank you for the continued support of the Violent Professional Podcast.